faced with oil prices that are high and moving higher, Joe Biden is doubling down and declaring, as he just did, quote, "It is simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production." I mean, it's incredible that this guy can look into the cameras and say this with a straight face. And then the media just kind of nods like, yeah, that's right. He's speaking truth. Well, he's not. And since you're not going to get the YouTube or the Facebook fact checkers checking Biden on this one, they just assume that what he says is true. They only fact check the other side, which is our side. Let me fact check Biden on this. Biden himself has been quoted saying multiple times, including in the presidential debates, that he wants to end fossil fuels, and he wants to end fossil fuels in America. He froze new drilling permits and stopped leases on federal lands. In fact, when he first took office, he moved to ban new oil and gas leases on federal lands. And that's by the way, a huge slice of U.S. energy. Now, that measure was stopped by the courts, but not for lack of trying by the Biden administration. One of the things the Democrats were saying, and this is long before Putin invaded the Ukraine, is that we have plenty of energy to meet our domestic needs. We don't need more. So you had the Democrats and you had the media basically promulgating the message that, yeah, we are cutting back on oil and gas, and that's a good thing because we don't really need it. Of course, no one's going to forget, I don't think you are, that Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline on his very first day in office. He signed an executive order, and this was part of his campaign, he himself said, to reverse 100 or more Trump-era policies. In June of 2021, Biden suspended oil and gas leases that Trump had granted in Alaska. And this, of course, outraged the people in Alaska and local officials in Alaska because it was one of the key steps to expand energy production and to create self-reliance for the United States. In fact, the left was so excited about what Biden was doing again before Ukraine to suppress domestic production that the climate activist Bill McKibben said that, quote, Biden's actions are, quote, may well mark the official beginning of the end of the fossil fuel era. And he said they, quote, send a decisive signal about the end of one epoch and the beginning of another. So this is something Biden was doing, and the Democrats were cheering, and the media was cheering. And now that it's become politically inconvenient, Biden's two strategies are, number one, try to blame it all on Putin, and number two, declare with kind of brazen dishonesty that, quote, his administration, it is simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production, even though it is true.